Welcome to this week's edition of Mob Talk. I'm Dave Stratweiser.
And I'm George Anastasia with the Philadelphia Inquirer.
George, this week we're going to talk about Steve Mazzone, the former underboss under Joey Merlino when Joey was the boss and not in jail. In a little bit of trouble with the feds, was in court late last week.
Yeah, he went to a Christmas party that he shouldn't have gone to and faced the possibility of going back to jail because of that.
George, a little history lesson on Steve Mazzone, mob soldier, mob captain, rose to underboss under Joey Merlino back in the late 90s, right, and got convicted along with Merlino, went to jail for 6 or 7 years, got paroled about a year and a half ago, has been pretty good, low-key on the radar system, but rubbed noses with the feds here and got them out of joint, and he's in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, we always thought Stevie was staying under the radar, and apparently he was, except for 2 incidents that were cited in his parole violation report. And both of them could have been more costly than they turned out to be.
Yeah. Let's talk about them. One was in August of this past year.
Right. In August, according to this parole violation report, in August he attended a wedding, and John Ciancaglini, one of his co-defendants and another convicted felon, was at the wedding. He did not report the fact that he was in Ciancaglini's presence. And when you're on parole, you've got to do all of that. You've got to report any contact you had with somebody who you're not supposed to be around. He did not do that, and according to his probation officer, he was given a warning. If that happens again, inform me. Now, December 17th, he shows up at the saloon. I guess unbeknownst to him, the police have set up a surveillance there because they see all wise guys going in, and it's a traditional mob Christmas party. And he's cited for attending this party with a whole coterie of wise guys.
Well, let's go into that a little bit and tell us a little bit about those parties. Are usually for what? They're usually for the boss, correct? One, and who is at this party, because it's a who's who of who's in the mob in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, those parties have been going on forever, and in fact, for a while, they used to be held at Mazzone's father-in-law's place down in South Philadelphia, Malone's. Yeah. They don't have them there anymore. Right, on Rittner Street. So, yeah, the whole group comes out. Scarfield used to have them over here on South Street as well. And the idea is to celebrate the holiday, but also everybody brings an envelope for the boss. That's what the part of this is, a Christmas gift for the boss. Right. So according to the police report, and part of this was read in open court the other day, the police are surveilling alleged mob boss Joe Legambi. They follow him and Anthony Stano to the saloon. They set up surveillance. Stano drives away. Legambi goes in, and then they see other guys coming in. Marty Angelina, Massimino, who just got out of prison. Frankie Narducci,
Gaten Lucibello.
Gaten Lucibello, Michael Lancelotti.
Anthony Nicodemo also.
Nicodemo goes in there, and Stevie Mazzone shows up. Police maintain their surveillance. They see Stano drive back to the saloon, and now he gets out of the car with Joe Licata, Joe Scoops Licata from Newark, and 2 other guys who they can't identify. So, you know, this was the traditional party. And because Mazzone was there, and because he did not report that he was there, I mean, I guess it's a double violation. One, he shouldn't have been there if he willingly went there, and number 2, he didn't report that he was there. He was cited by his probation officer,
right,
and
now
that hearing was about.
He goes into court. His lawyer basically throws in the towel, figuratively speaking, saying that we're not going to deny this happened.
Yeah, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done it. I was there. And as a result, I think instead of getting sent back, he was looking at, the prosecutor recommended, I think, anywhere from 4 to 8 months back in prison. Instead, he was placed on 6 months electronic house arrest. He can go to work. He can go to his daughter's graduation, his daughter's confirmation. He can go to church, those kind of things, but he needs permission from his probation officer to do anything else. So that's the kind of situation he's under right now.
And that was a pretty good legal maneuver by Lou Busico, his lawyer, because had he not, and they tried to fight it, or Mazzone got up on the stand, he could be questioned. Had he not kind of said, I did this, they're going to play a videotape, and everybody's going to be embarrassed. Am I right about that?
Exactly. They had a videotape of the guys coming, and I don't think anybody wanted that to be part of the public record. And it raises several other questions. There were 2 or 3 other people there who are also on probation, and are they going to get violated as a result? So yeah, I mean, from a legal point of view, strategically, it was a smart play to make, and you hope the judge cuts you a break. And in fact, the judge did cut him a break here.
Okay.
But the judge said, you come back in front of me again, you're going back to jail.
Let's talk about this impact on Steve Mazzone in the future. We have talked about before on this program about how Mazzone kind of is off the radar screen, sitting there, not involved with a lot of activity. If Joe Legambi and his crew get indicted and go away, Merlino and Borghese, George Borghese, are still in jail, leaves a vacuum for Mazzone to step into.
Yeah, I mean, that was the supposition, that Mazzone was laying low and would fill that vacuum if, in fact, it happened. The fact that he's invited to the Christmas party raises a whole series of questions of, well, we don't think he's involved, but maybe he is involved. Maybe he's doing stuff behind the scenes. Or was it just a social thing? Hey, they invited me, I got to go. We don't know the answer to that, but it certainly it notches things up 2 or 3 levels in terms of Mazzone and his activities.
But is he a boss in waiting?
I think potentially, especially if the indictment comes out the way we think it is and everybody else is taken off the streets, he certainly has the pedigree. He's certainly been involved long enough. He certainly had status with the Molino group, so yeah.
So, George, look into your mob crystal ball for me and tell me the future of Steve Mazzone if he's a smart guy here.
Well, if he's smart, he has no more physical contact with individuals involved in the organization. What we don't know is, was he having contact by phone, through a third party all along? If you're doing that, you don't get cited. But when you're physically in their presence, you got a problem. He's warned now. If he does it again, he goes back to jail.
And that's what it could be, prison or maybe the boss.
Prison or an opportunity to take over, if in fact that's what he wants. It's his choice.
Okay. That's it for Mob Talk this week. We'll see you next week.
We look forward to it. MTV's Jersey Shore scored big in the ratings, but they aren't the only characters worth following. Why, you may soon see some more stories from down the shore. The Cops Connection coming up. We'll be right back. Stick around.